Zelda new cakes on display. Time to ruin someone's New Year resolution. Oh hey, Happy New Year! What can I get you? You looking for something nice and hot? Oh. You want some lukewarm Eye of Ramalach, huh? Alright. Fine. So, we return to Eye of Ramalach. In case you're just joining us, why? Like, what convinces someone to start at video free? That's just stupid. Anyway, Ron has managed to fuse with Ramalach and has taken him back home. Meanwhile, his secret girlfriend has been attacked by the spawn of Cthulhu, and the water tribe girl Mighty got restrained by the Royal Magical Guard. Oh, and Alex should be dead, cause I've seen Mortal Kombat fatalities that were less brutal than this shit. Anyway, we continue with Randall from Les Lindas working as a TV host. He says, "See, I said it would happen. First, we legalize interspecies marriage, and suddenly the day ones come back and are attacking our upstanding citizens." Okay, hold on. Let me just real quick look at the timer for this video. Okay, so I know this is really early in the video to go on a tangent, but I really have to. I get that what used to be the Cat Box was a group of individuals who all worked on making comics together, and as such, a lot of characters would cameo across the different comics. Mihari, the site's mascot, would show up plenty of times all across the comics, and we've seen Les Lindas and UberQuest both show up in this comic, and Rascals. And I do get why you do that. It's a funny little nod to go, I know that character. And then you may, you know, smile. Feel something. A little kick of serotonin. It's like when back in the day you would watch videos on that guy with the glasses, and all of a sudden this creator you really liked would show up as a gag for the other creator you really liked. When I did my previous season, I had tons of cameos show up in my videos. David and Liz from Dreamkeepers, Luke McKay, Sam and Stacy, my friend Simon, my friend Hayden, my friend Zach, and even Nick from Nightmine. It was a neat way to kind of promote my friends and have them be part of this little wacky narrative I was working on. But the main thing there was the same thing as it was with that guy with the glasses cameos, being that it was always true to the image the people cameoing had. When I had Luke in my video, he was drawing, because that guy is always drawing. When I showed my friend Simon, he was breaking into my apartment in his biker jacket, stealing my beer and calling me a bitch, because that shit he would do all the time. When you have, like, Mihari play tennis in Rascals, it's fine, because there's not a whole lot of character there. When you have Claire from UberQuest commenting on kaijus, that's also perfectly fine, because it's true to her character, and it's just 2 frames where she's hardly the focal point of what's going on. But then you have this. Randall, the guy most people assumed was gay in Les Lindas, is now no longer working on the farm, but is instead a news host, and he's complaining about interspecies marriage. In case you haven't watched my Les Lindas videos in a hot minute or read the comic, let me remind you that this very obvious dog character is in a relationship with this bunny character Taffy. Also, wow, I really look like that, huh? Ugh. Anyway, I get that you want a cute cameo. That's fine, it's fun. But the cameo only works if we realize that is the character we know and love that appeared in a place we didn't expect them to. Here, you have basically taken Randall, stripped him of what little personality he had, made his entire character conflict with what we know about him, i.e. being in an interspecies relationship and working on a farm, and made him act completely different from what we know his character to be. Now, sure, you could argue this isn't actually Randall, is what I would say if this guy question mark didn't say, "Well said, Randall," confirming that this is indeed Randall. Now, I won't lie, this was a rough page to start on. Anyway, they show a bunch of people talking about the ongoings of what has happened, including this deer-like person saying that the dragon looks exactly like the one from this old cartoon. Is that fucking Johnny Quest? Homie, how old are you? Anyway, we jump back in time to some days ago where Marianne and these 3 girls are having a girls' night out to celebrate Marianne getting her cast taken off. They go out to drink, Marianne charms some boys to get them to fund the drinking, and then the girl Theo, who was also drinking mind you, drives them home while Marianne is getting busy with this dude in the backseat. The next morning, Marianne is awoken by the ringing of her phone. It turns out this is when Ron has come back home and he's about to drop by Marianne with some paperwork. When Marianne tells Theo that Ron is coming over and she's excited to see what he's brought with him from his trip, Theo responds, "You mean besides his sexy self?" Bro, what is this? When the fuck did Ron become such a hot commodity? Anyway, we then skip ahead a few days to Ron being in the hospital at Alex's side. Why did we feel now was the time to jump back in time to show that thing with Marianne? What did Marianne have to do with the ongoings right now? What did us seeing her being out partying add to anything? Would it not have made sense to include these pages just as Ron and his crew came back? Did you not think of including the scenes until now? Anyway, Alex is alive, which... I mean, the bitch got fucking wall combo Tekken style. The girl got whipped like a ragdoll from ceiling to floor by the head and thrown into a table. And yet, despite this, once again, the comic will infer something that did not happen. Just to make sure we're all up to speed, because it's been a while since we last touched the comic. The flesh golem came at Alex, she tried to taser it didn't work, and then she got thrown up into the ceiling, the floor, and then a table, as I just mentioned. Immediately following this, Mighty cuts off this thing's head before turning into a dragon and carries the thing down to the streets, where the plant man decimates it. You with me? You can go and read it yourself, I'll just be over here contemplating life or whatever. Alright, now, despite this, when Alex wakes up, she mentions how she can't feel her leg, and Ron says that, "I don't know, I think whatever that was tried to, well, eat you." And then follows it up with saying that the doctors were talking about amputating Alex's leg. Bullshit? Bullshit! How could the flesh golem possibly have tried to eat Alex? Immediately after it had wall comboed her, Matey threw his bitch ass out the window and then he died shortly after.
He died like a dog.
Okay, maybe there's just something lost in the translation here. Maybe Alex can't feel her leg cause her spine was messed up from her beating. I mean, that would make sense. Look at this. Except then, what the fuck is this massive brace on her leg? Why would you need to amputate her leg? Her legs were probably the only thing that wasn't damaged from her ass whooping. I swear to God, this comic is actively gaslighting you, and it's doing a shit job at it. As Ben, Ron, Alex, and Ramalach are talking to the Queen Jane, Ramalach and Ben mention how they can't just stroll up and talk with her cause the place is so heavily guarded and she'll be able to detect Ramalach within Ron. Could you not, like, send an email or something? Why does this have to be in person? Anyway, as they contemplate on how to best approach this whole conundrum, Jane bursts through the door and is immediately macking on Ben and Ron before explaining that she sent the plant men, called the Silent Men, out to fight the Davons as soon as she heard about it, and shortly after, she reveals that Matey is here and is doing just fine. Jane is also surprised how quickly people took to the sight of a giant serpent in the streets like that, making no mention of the flesh golem. You know, the things that had laid waste to their country a couple of years back. Dog, we can't even have anyone wear a black military uniform these days without someone calling it a Nazi uniform. How the fuck do these guys see an actual flesh golem exactly like the things that attacked them a couple of years back and just go, probably nothing.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
So Jane, who has outlawed magic mind you, is going bonkers for Matey and her magic and offers Ron and the crew assistance in teaching Matey how to better control her magic. Why is no one questioning this? They literally just discussed how she doesn't want magic on her turf. Maybe it's just another oversight considering the Silent Men are also magic. Rules for me, but not for thee. Or sometimes also rules for thee, I guess. It depends whether I like you or not. Anyway, Jane decides it's time to look at Alex's leg. For now, let's see how your leg is doing. I heard you were bitten by it. No, you're wrong. No, she wasn't. Stop fucking lying.
Why the fuck you lying?
Bro, she had her nightmares eaten or some shit. Why not use that angle? The fuck is this? Apparently Alex's leg was infected? Infected by what? How? Dog, I must have reread those pages of the fight in the apartment so many times just to make sure I wasn't tripping that I have probably looked at those pages more than Avenkri themselves. But not a single time does this flesh glob's mouth come anywhere near Alex. Bro, it loses its fucking head immediately after throwing her. You've taken every fucking avenue to ensure it cannot bite her. It has like fucking bones and spikes and shit sticking out everywhere. Just use that as the source of the infection. Do fucking anything other than just making shit up. It's not even that long ago. We're talking sub 10 pages. I know, hee hee ha ha ho ho, the online reviewer guy is making something big out of something small. But is this truly me making a mountain out of a molehill here? This feels like a big thing and they're just now ad-libbing to it. What the fuck is this? Anyway, Matey steps up and tries to heal Alex's leg. As Jane, Matey and Alex are focused on this, Ramalach pops out with a note to Ron. So he just has a pen and a notepad inside his head. I mean, again, Ramalach's reign wasn't that long ago, so I guess they had perforated notepad paper and ballpoint pens. Anyway, the note tells Ron to not believe her lies, cause healing magic can't heal an infection, and Ron confirms that it makes sense, cause an infection is caused by living organisms, so it would make sense that healing magic couldn't kill them. See, this is what drives me up the fucking wall, right? We've just spent all of this time talking about how dog shit the comics writing is, and for good reasons. And then all of a sudden, Avenkri will just whip something super amazing out of their ass. Cause this is a really good point. And it makes sense that Ron would know this, cause he probably looked into this kind of shit before going on his journey. How can the comics writing be so ass, yet also so good? So Jane decides to leave because they're out of time. And see, this is where I would have personally done this differently, right? Ramalach has just sown seeds of doubt in our brain as well as Ron's. He has told us to not trust Jane, and sure enough, she's kinda just come in out of nowhere, fixed a bunch of issues, been eccentric to a fault, and is now just leaving again as quickly as she appeared. She does seem to be a little weird. So, let us keep thinking that. Let her walk out the door, and let that be the last we see of her for now. Us seeing her actually caring for Alex, talking to a nurse to get her to look at her again, and explaining herself to this turtle guy that she did all of this because she felt sorry for Alex, is making us no longer doubt her. Because if she was indeed trying to fool Ron and the Funky Bunch, why would she act like this in private where they can't see her? She doesn't have to play a role for these people. Also, and this one really twists my nuts, the turtle guy, Bannon, comments on her bleeding. Sure enough, there's a neat detail that you can see the bloodstain on her pant leg grow bigger and bigger over the course of the strip, which is a neat detail, but the way Bannon comments on it, he asks if she did something again, which implies whatever she did was what caused the bleeding, to which Jane says, "I'm sorry, but I couldn't stand to see her in that state." Now, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that the comic is implying that Jane healed Alex by taking the damage Alex had to her leg and passing it on over to her, as it's suspiciously the exact same leg that's bleeding. But there's a problem though. Jane didn't do fuck all. Matey did. All Jane did was guide Matey on how to heal her. The fuck did Jane do? I genuinely don't remember having ever read a comic that contradicted itself this much. This wasn't even that long ago. Never mind 10 pages ago. This was on the previous fucking page, for fuck's sake. So Alex kicks Ron and Ben out of the room, and Ben thinks now is a perfect time to ask Ron what the deal is between him and Alex. Ron explains that he and Alex met during college, and the two of them were together in secret for 3 years. He doesn't, explain why it was a secret, which I would personally like to know. Like, were either ashamed of the other person, or what's going on here? Eventually, Ron proposed to Alex, and Alex declined, and Ron says, "Even if our relationship changed, we are still soulmates. Maybe one day she will change her mind and then Ben interrupts him, saying he's amazed it has taken him this long to realize what a pathetic bitch Ron is. And thank God he said it, cause if he hadn't, I would've. Again, you seriously mean to tell me that this man, this guy right here, the guy who was in a 3-year relationship with this girl, is the same man who was whining about always having to fend for himself when it comes to picking up women? You mean to tell me the man who said he had a hard time making the first move has proposed to a woman, and he's hoping to get back together with this girl, but he's also the same dude who lamented his inability to get with Marianne? To her. Speaking of Marianne, hadn't you moved on from Alex? You mentioned earlier that you've been pining for Marianne for over a year. With how hard you've been going at it to get with Marianne, or shit, any fucking girl with a pulse who showed interest in you, you have the fucking audacity to say Alex is your soulmate? I genuinely do not think I'm being unfair here when I'm asking these questions. Because the comic for the longest time has bent over backwards in trying to convince us that Ron is some kind of down on his luck schmuck who has no real luck with women. And then all of a sudden it has just turned him into this super competent ladies man who's super emotionally mature to the point where he has dated Alex for years, I guess, and even managed to propose to her. And what grinds my gears the most is that the comic has made 0 attempts on trying to address or explain these contradictions. Ben starts chewing Ron out because, due to his belief that he and Alex are soulmates and destined to be together, Ben believes Ron has actively sabotaged any potential relationship he could have had instead of Alex. One of the girls Ben brings up is the girl Abigail, the one raccoon girl from earlier. Ron explains he wasn't interested in her because she was a shallow party girl. Really? This is you not digging her? This isn't you upset that Ben is cock-blocking you. This is someone completely different, right? This is your evil twin, Nor, or whatever the fuck. Absolutely fuck out of here.
Why the fuck you lying?
I swear, at this point, I'm making it a personal exercise to cross-check damn near everything this whiny incel bitch is saying. Anyway, Ben finishes giving Ron a piece of his mind and storms out after telling Ron that if he keeps pining for Alex, he'll end up alone. It's kind of wild that the comic has the perfect opportunity to have Ben confront Ron about his pursuit for Marianne, but I think Avenkri knows it's bringing attention to a massive plot hole, so instead we just kinda gloss over it. After Ben has left, Ramalach pops forth and offers Ron a deal. In return of bathing under the moonlight for a spell to get his mana charged, Ramalach offers to charm the mind of any girl Ron likes, but the instant he mentions Alex, Ron flips out, threatening to kill them both by exposing Ramalach to Jane should Ramalach ever try something. Also, I can't say for certain, but I put that censoring blob there because I think in the original piece, there's just straight up a full-blown nipple. Really cool of you, comic. Now, I'm obviously not gonna go all your movie sucks here and go, you're sharing porn to minors.
The guy who made the video refused to pin my comment for transparency. And yes, in that comment, I say, this is grooming behavior. And I call him out in all caps. And I do a little schizo shit.
Because I'm not dumb like that. But I think people would appreciate a warning, After that, the gang splits up, leaving Ron to look into his books in the hopes of finding a way to get rid of Ramalach. Why his first instinct is not to reach out to Deckard, who clearly knew about Ramalach, I do not know. Anyway, Ron falls asleep and wakes up at 4 AM. When leaving his office, he spots Marianne painting.
Seriously, what the fuck is up with these people and being at the museum at fuck-ass o'clock?
So Ron and Marianne sit down for a chat about the painting that Marianne has been working on. And Ron decides now is the perfect time to ask Marianne if she wants to go out to dinner with him. Now, I think I get what the comic is going for, right? Ron has taken what Ben said to heart. Maybe it is time to move on from Alex. But the comic has kind of put Ron in an unwinnable situation. If he continues to pursue Alex, it makes every attempt to get with other girls prior even worse. But if he abandons his pursuit for Alex, now Ron's soulmate love for Alex seems wishy-washy at best. Cause like, what? Oh, we are soulmates, but only as long as it's convenient. Bro, if you're soulmates, it means through thick and thin. But I guess he didn't really believe it as much as he would like you to think he did. Anyway, Marianne hesitates and Ron immediately starts to backpedal. But Marianne eventually says she wants to go eat ribs and... Oh my god, is this bitch crying?
It's okay to cry. If you want, Nero, over a loss.
Not cry.
It doesn't make you a crybaby. Does make you a little bitch, though.
There it is.
The next day at the museum, all the girls talking about how big of a stud muffin Ron is. Again, the entire universe has just shifted, and now everyone wants to get on that raccoon's dick. Meanwhile, Ron and his boss are talking about the relics that Ron had returned with. I feel like we're forgetting something. Hold on. Oh, right. Wasn't Ron fearing about the closure of the museum? Is that just not a thing anymore? Anyway, the boss is of course being all smug about Ron and Marianne going on a date and says that Ron owes him because he believes this is a direct result of him grouping the two up for the project. I think the boss would actually have to flash Marianne his dick and balls for this to be more of a textbook example of sexual harassment. Back in Ron's office, he has gotten a package. It's from Alejandro's cousin, who contacts Ron because she started reflecting back on her life and her regrets. Apparently, because of Wallace's quote-unquote death, she's wishing to make amends. But I want to focus on this part here. A mutual acquaintance of ours died to protect me. So they were acquainted. I fucking told you I wasn't making shit up. These two were colleagues, so them fighting is as dumb as I framed it as. Like, sure, I'll sometimes make a joke for a bit or whatever, but this is 100% factual that these two knew each other. They were both working for Deckard. I cannot believe of all things this comic decided to retcon, this wasn't one of them. So Alejandro's cousin has just decided to send Ron a magical sword. Why did she have this? Why did she send it to Ron? I mean, she even states herself how this is basically contraband due to Jane's stance on magic. But I suppose this is just another one she can overlook.
Can you imagine a governing ruler who just kind of plays fast and loose with the rules and who they side with? And if you're in their good graces, the law will just stop applying to you. What a weird fantasy concept, huh?
Chapter 11 starts with these guys standing on the roof talking about how they are looking for a previous client while also talking about how they don't like all the lights in Neon City. Next they're gonna go to Sand Town and complain about the sand, I swear to God.
I don't like sand.
Whoever is narrating is talking about how Pierre had messed up, and due to that they now have a Daven running around in the middle of the city. I'm fairly certain you don't. I think the Silent Man turned it into soup.
Why the fuck?
Bro, anyway, fucking Jesus Christ. The three, one being Alejandro's cousin, the other Vela, the insect chick who got her antennas ripped clean off, and the last is Alava? Maybe? I don't know. I mean, kudos for not just going with the box standard animals for your characters. Anyway, the three are here to get Deckard and bring him in for questioning. So what, now Alejandro's cousin is not working for Deckard, but someone else? But we clearly saw her specifically work for Deckard before. He specifically says, I don't expect him to find the eye. That's where your group comes in. Your skill will continue on if Ronald fails. I won't take any chances. So he's clearly her employer.
Maybe she's just under new employment now, I guess.
We move on to Ben, who's been left in charge of Matey, which to me feels like trusting a baby to run wild unsupervised in the fork and active electrical sockets factory. He wants to offer Matey a drink, but he doesn't want to accidentally give someone underage alcohol. He was, however, perfectly fine having her swim around topless just prior, just saying. I got no real answers as to how Ben finds out Matey is around 22 years old, because he just checks out this tablet that has the answers. Is that the script? Did you check the script, Ben? Anyway, Ben promises Matey he'll take her out and spoil her, but not before doing his job, which seems to be a real estate agent where he sells a house to Tina from Caribbean Blue.
Oh look, it's all of our old friends.
We then see Ben and Matey out and about, enjoying themselves. I honestly don't know what the point is in showing Ben buying Matey these more conservative clothes, when it's kind of a trend in these comics that all the girls have to wear tube tops and shorts or some shit. To end the night off, Ben takes Matey to a club where he quickly abandons her to talk with some girl, and sure enough, this guy Darren uses this opportunity to go and lay his moves on Matey. Ben steps in to protect Matey, and despite talking a big game, gets absolutely mollywopped. Time for some praise of the comic. I do like that we have seen Matey use water to channel her magic, so seeing her use the drink she was enjoying earlier to mend Ben's wound is a nice touch. Also just goes to show how much these places water down their drinks, I'm just saying. Ben then explains how he's used to getting his shit pushed in, cause he's used to being Ron's shield. We see this through a flashback where Ben scares some bullies picking on Ron away, and Ron explains to their mutual friend Ginny that Ben is like a tank from the hit MMO UberQuest. See? Do you see how I have not complained about Tina earlier or this name use of UberQuest? It's almost like there's a right and a wrong way of doing cameos. Anyway, the next morning Ben wakes up to Matey in his bed. In fact, Matey seems to go above and beyond to not give Ben any personal space. It's clear she fancies Ben, so when he eventually leaves her home alone while he goes out on a date, you know it's not gonna end well.
Also, I think Avenkri forgot to give Ben a TV remote here, cause he's clearly describing to Matey like, push here or press here or whatever, but he's not holding anything.
This all culminates in Matey throwing a water blast at Ben and his date when they come home. When Ben gives her a stern talking to, Matey explodes, telling Ben that she doesn't want to be left alone anymore. Ben, shocked at Matey's ability to talk English, says that Matey has been playing him for sympathy. And as much as it annoys me to say this, like I legit think I'm gonna be breaking out in hives here, Ben is right. Since when the fuck was Matey able to communicate in English? Everything we've seen from her has been this broken single word English at the best of times. Yet this bitch is able to not only speak coherent English, she even understands basic grammar to an extent. Where the fuck was this ability when the flesh golem was attacking them? Would this not be a good time to use your English to protect Alex? How about at the bar where the guy approached her? Her not pushing the guy away directly led to Ben getting his ass kicked. Oh, but surely she has learned English since then, you might say. Yeah, except she straight up comes out and tells us she learned it from Janine on the way to Neon City. Yet, why Matey kept this ability a secret or didn't use it is never brought up even once. Guess if you wanna be really ass about it, I guess it's because Matey is deadly afraid of being left alone due to her past trauma, and so she figured if the others knew she could speak English, they weren't gonna stick around to, look over her? I don't fucking... It's insanely stupid and contrived, but I'm trying to be forgiving here, okay? Ben and Matey have a heart-to-heart, and Matey explains she's afraid of being alone, and Ben, for some reason, insists that Matey cannot let the others know that she can speak English. Why? Who knows?
No, seriously, does anyone know? I would like to know. Anyone?
Come Friday, and Ben and Ron are talking over the phone about sending Matey to a therapist. Meanwhile, Ron is getting ready for his date with Marianne, but he's stopped after Deckard shows up in his apartment and knocks Ron out. Deckard then goes on a little monologue about how Ron essentially just used him. Deckard gave Ron everything Ron needed for the expedition, and in return, not only didn't Ron report back to Deckard, he actively ignored him when coming back. So, yeah, Deckard is 100% in the right here.
He's out of line, but he's right.
So Deckard decides, instead of torturing the information about Ramalach out of Ron, he decides he's just gonna cut Ron until the Daven shows itself. However, he doesn't even get to do that before Ramalach pops forth, sending Deckard reeling back in horror. The fuck kinda ghost hunter bullshit is this?
Alright guys, we're gonna look for the spooky thing.
That's about...
Holy shit, a spooky thing! Fucking run!
So Ramalach decides to hear Deckard out, and Deckard explains how, when he was a kid, he was attacked by the Davens and grew fascinated by them. He was saved by this lion man, and Deckard took note of his sword cause it was Fire Soul's weapon. The weapon of one of the 4 Daven lords. And from this, Deckard could surmise that if the sword was real, then that would mean Ramalach was real too. Bro, weren't you attacked by Davens? Shouldn't that be your indicator that Davens were real? Bro would get fucked by a werewolf and go, it's just a figment of my imagination. Anyway, Deckard gives us some much needed lore about Ron's dad Alexei, and how Deckard came to be his colleague. It turns out Ron is a product of a one-night stand Alexei had, and I do appreciate that we get to see Alexei talk with a woman who has a surprisingly identical hairdo as Ron has, indicating that that's probably Ron's mother. This also explains why the mother has never really been brought up, as she's probably never really been in the picture.
You never told me your old grandpa used to be a huge piece of shit.
However, as seems to be the norm with these comics, the instant I'm able to give compliments, I'm gonna have to also point out some bullshit. Cause now Deckard is claiming that he introduced Ron to his niece so he could have a friend. This has never been brought up before. When Deckard and Ron first meet, the literal only thing Deckard says is that Deckard was a friend of Ron's dad. Not a single mention of his niece whatsoever, which you would think he would mention to have an extra in with Ron.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that Deckard's niece is this girl here, Ginny, because she's certainly given a prominent position in the story and even a name. And I don't think the comic is gonna do that unless they'll be important later.
Anyway, Deckard accompanied Alexei on his many expeditions, and on one, Alexei triggered a trap that Deckard pushed him out of the way for. However, this had the unfortunate repercussion that Deckard got poisoned, which is what fucked up his lungs. Alexei, piece of shit that he was, didn't give 2 shits about Deckard and instead just chucked this up as another notch in his archaeologist belt. Also, this is very apropos nothing, but I think it's so interesting that the characters are consistently shown with only 4 fingers. Or, well, I say consistently, but then you got shots like this one prior where you can clearly see Deckard having 5 fingers. Just thought I would bring that up. Anyway, as mentioned before, Deckard figured that if Fire Soul was real, then so was Ramalach, the deal maker. And so Deckard set everything in motion so Ron could find Ramalach for him. Once again, I want to compliment the comics art here. Look how expressive Deckard is here when his perfect plan is challenged. I love how you can tell how disheveled he's becoming. But seeing I've just given a compliment, you know what that means. Deckard says he planned for everything, made plan upon plan, and had backup plans for backup plans. And yet this dumb motherfucker could not predict that Ron would not report back to Deckard. It wasn't even that Ron outsmarted Deckard or anything, he just kinda didn't go.
Fucking perfect plan there, dipshit.
So Deckard admits to killing Ron's dad using the same poison that is currently killing Deckard. But before we can get any more information about that, Deckard offers Ramalach these testicles that supposedly contains Ramalach's men. So the two go up to the top of the building where Ramalach uses the testicles to summon his 4 servants. Adramelech, the Fleshbender, Orobas, the Hierophant, Furfur, the Queen of Lies, Phineas, the Merchant of Desires,
Bushazima, the Chameleon.
Once Ramalach has gotten his servants back, he tells Deckard that he will now make a deal with him, but on Ramalach's terms. He then starts telling Deckard that he could make a deal with him, but he won't because Deckard has admitted to use others for his own benefit and even killed his friend in cold blood. And as of such, Ramalach deems Deckard a betrayer and thus he doesn't hold up his end of the deal.
So I know these are evil characters, so them doing evil stuff is kind of par for the course. But this feels more like Avenkri not thinking this through more than villains doing villain stuff for the sake of being villains.
Because when you really think about it, Ramalach seems to respect people who have morals. He even says as much when talking about Ron, saying Ron rejected Ramalach's offer even under the threat of self-harm. Be that as it may, however, he doesn't seem to have any problem going back on his own morals, not honoring the deal he'd make with Deckard. This motherfucker pisses and moans about Deckard betraying people, but then ups and betrays Deckard himself. Bro has the audacity to say, I don't take kindly to those who don't keep their end of a bargain. My dick and balls, what the fuck do you call this shit then? Why? I don't know if Avenkri thought that they were doing some clever writing thing here or whatever, but it's just so fucking wild that you have Ramalach admitting he hates people who don't keep their end of a bargain and how much he respects people who stay true to their morals. On the same page, he's not holding his end of a bargain and betraying his morals.
I would be way more inclined to believe this was Ramalach abusing some kind of loophole in the whole thing if it wasn't because this comic has time and time again retcon shit that happened just minutes prior.
So Ramalach lets Deckard run but threatens him to never show his face again. Afterwards, Ramalach admits to his men that he doesn't really have a plan for them anymore due to the changing of the times and thus releases them of their service. He then asks his men to carry Ron downstairs because he has a date tomorrow. And then he leaves his men to contemplate on what to do from now on. Also, I hate to be that guy, but this is just Illidan from Warcraft's markings. It's even the same color of skin and marking combination, just throwing it out there. Anyway, the four servants talk amongst themselves, deciding on what to do from now on. Furfur turns into a girl and decides to use her womanly charms to get pampered. Phineas decides to trade his way up from a piece of chalk till he can afford an entire empire. And Illidan, I mean Orobas, decides he just wishes to lay low due to his appearance. This leaves Ramalach, who seems to be kind of, how do I put it? Let's just say he would think Danganronpa is well written. Okay? You're picking up what I'm throwing down? Anyway, Deckard returns despite being absolutely terrified before and decides to use Ramalach's power for his new plan in making Ramalach a new body. And that's how this chapter ends.
So yeah, the art has definitely significantly improved and the writing is very interesting now, if nothing else. There's a lot of bullshit done just to make sure that this boat stays afloat. So join me next time to see if the boat stays afloat, then you visit the Kimono Cafe. Don't forget to tip your waiter in the Patreon tip jar, and I'll see you guys next time when you join this fine establishment. Are they gone? I'm way too hungover for this shit.
Y'all pissed about it. If you're mad, talk with the kids about it. Remember when Mac Miller went about it? I don't really think I just sacked about it. And now we on a world tour. Why you always asking me? Fuck the nosebleeds, the floor's capacity. You can find me in the club, cause that's the kind of shit that we do when we're young. Go get it, I KO like Mayweather. Every album drop, I just get better. Go mode, I got my own nitro. JDB #1, no typo. Laced up in the all black Timbs. Big body Lexus, 20-inch rims. I got style that you cannot teach. How I dress, how I walk, how I rap, let me preach. Back for another one.
Hello, thank you for watching the video, I really appreciate it. Happy holidays, happy new year, hope you had a great new year, hope you still have all 10 fingers. Here's to hoping that 2026 is going to be our year. I'm just gonna come right out of the bat and say this. I am working on a Hiveworks documentary because a lot of stuff came out about Hiveworks that people within Hiveworks and stuff have honestly asked me to cover, and it's such a significant thing that I cannot not make a documentary about it. So while I was originally working on a video after this about, you know, like a normal Webcomic Relief episode, I will be working on that while other stuff fall into place with the Hiveworks documentary. So you're getting another documentary, and I'm already working on a new Webcomic Relief episode. But you should probably expect the documentary to come out first. With that being said, let's look at the amazing people who helped sponsoring this episode. Amocin. Amocin doesn't want to push anything this time, so just know that they are super awesome and a long-running supporter of the Webcomic Relief. Nicholas Knudson. Nicholas hasn't gotten back to me about what they want me to push, so for now just know that they are really cool. Sebastian Vandborg. Sebastian wants me to push the Twitter account Curious Zelda, which has a rich plethora of cute and funny cat images. He doesn't own the account or anything, but he just really likes cats, so there you go. Athlai. Athlai hasn't gotten back to me about what they want me to push either, so you know the drill, they're just super awesome and deserve all the love. Hugo Junstrand. My boy Hugo, who is making my title cards, is working on his original series called Torch Drop. It's a fantasy story where animals steal body parts from other species. If this sounds like your cup of tea, there's a link to Hugo's YouTube channel down below where you can watch some animations that highlights the tone of this series. Marshall Starr. DR, as we call him, is the artist behind the cool sci-fi comic called Marshall Starr. If you want some good old sci-fi western presented with some banging art, then this is the comic for you. Why Not Warrior? Why Not Warrior wants me to push the webcomic known as Hope. The comic is about superheroes that gets into trouble and who has to save the universe from an evil empire known only as Spade. When the young girl Raylan gets targeted by this evil empire, she joins forces with her friends to take them down and save the galaxy. A.V. Messer. A.V. Messer is the creator behind the webcomic Almighty Protectors. It is a superhero comic with a diverse cast that all regularly travel to alternate universes to go on wacky adventures. This really fits the slogan of the comic, which is, their next adventure could be anywhere. If this sounds like your cup of tea, please go check it out. Foxy Boy. Foxy Boy wants me to push their comic Happy Father's Day, a Silent Hill crossover comic. Don't let the fact it's done with mice fool you, as this is a fantastic, spooky comic. And of course, let's not forget to mention all these lovely people: Drake of Adrian, Nina Ha, Rojaru, Sacha Sketchy, Shiv, The Bonsai, Toma Dark, and Varatri. And also a super huge thank you to all the lovely people that you're seeing right here. I especially like this person right here. You can't see who I'm pointing at, but they're lovely. If you want to support the show, please go to my Patreon. Here you can donate anything you want every month, and all of it is very much appreciated. Just go to www.patreon.com/riser. If you want to watch me on Twitch, you can do so at twitch.tv/crownlessking with 2 eyes. Here you'll sometimes see dumb stuff like this happen. Gonna do this, and then hopefully at one point I get it. Hey! If you don't want to support the show financially, at least think about liking the video, subscribing to the channel, or sharing your favorite Webcomic Relief episode with your friends. I'll see you guys in the next Webcomic Relief. Take care.